The wait is finally over, and now we're going to talk about The Sensual Seven, Ugly Cry the Motion Picture, and more on today's episode of the Geek Watch Podcast.
This is the Geek Watch Podcast with Brian Hatcher and Mandy Petry.
Greetings, Geek Watchers, and welcome to episode 257 of the Geek Watch Podcast. I'm Brian Hatcher, and with me, as always, Geek Watch's very own resident geek goddess, Mandy Petry.
Hello, Brian.
So, let's start out with the geekiest of geek things, Funko Pops.
Oh, yes, very. I mean, everyone's a geek about Funko Pops.
And I do want to start out by saying that I do have some Funko Pops, big shock, some Stephen King Funko Pops. I've got a Guillermo del Toro Funko Pop.
All the Cthulhu Funko Pops exist.
Well, except for one.
Oh, there's one that you don't have?
It was a New York Comic-Con exclusive. It was basically the regular Cthulhu with nerd glasses with the tape on the bridge. Called Nerd Cthulhu. And that is the only one that I don't have. Because I even have the big, massive XL one. As much as I love collecting those, I just didn't feel the need to spend several $100s for a regular Cthulhu with a pair of glasses.
Right.
I'll just buy the regular one and put glasses on it if I absolutely need to.
Now that you're 3D printing everything, you could just print a pair.
Yeah. And I have Tiamat, the dragon from Dungeons & Dragons, and the Marvels given to me by the best podcast partner I could possibly ask for, Mandy Petry, and a Jackalope, which you had to know me in the 90s to understand that. There is a small group of people who played in a game of Deadlands that I ran. To this day, a chill runs down their spine every time they think of a Jackalope. AKA the Night of 1,000 Jackalopes, which was the adventure I wrote and ran for them. And, of course, I have a cocaine bear with a leg in its mouth. I bring up all of this because Funko Pops have been around for a long time, and they have been a part of geek culture and expressing geek culture. To think that there might come a day that there are no more Funko Pops is kind of depressing, but within a year, that's very possible.
Why? I can't imagine that either. I mean, there's always something.
I will say this. As much as I love Funko Pops, the business model is kind of strange. And we'll talk about that. What started this out is Funko had one of their financial calls with shareholders. They had to admit that they are $241 million in the hole.
Yeah.
And they're working with their lenders to refinance and try to keep things going. They doubt seriously they'll be solvent in a year and they'll have to shut down. They don't think they'll be around if they can't manage to do that. Now, it didn't surprise me to hear that because Funko Pops as a business model is kind of strange. It is a very expensive business model, although making vinyl figures pretty much in the same form, but there are different things that you can do with them. Just the licensing alone, I would figure would have to be incredibly expensive because it's not just geek stuff. It's not just comic books.
It's
and
everything.
movies.
There's no specialization.
You know you're famous if there's a Funko Pop about you. And they do sports figures as well.
I mean, there's Golden Girls, there's athletes, there's
comic books and different characters in fiction, in movies and television, but also real life people. I've got 4 different versions of Edgar Allan Poe. I can only imagine how expensive paying for all these different licenses would be. The only other company that I imagine would have the same difficulties would have to be Lego because they do the same thing.
Yeah.
They have a ton of licensing that they have to purchase as well because of making all the Lego sets for different properties. And so, of course, that has to be expensive. Also, because they have so many different Funko Pops that they sell for marketing, I would say that if you're an online marketer like Amazon, it's not that bad. But if you are brick and mortar, selling Funko Pops is a nightmare. I think probably the best example of this has to be Hot Topic. You could walk into a Hot Topic that sells Funko Pops and they've got a wall of these things.
Yes.
Which ones do you stock? You know, very often there'll be a Funko Pop, like one that I have, a Funko Pop of Robert Smith standing in front of the artwork for Disintegration because I'm goth like that. But how many stores are going to stock that particular Funko Pop in the hopes that somebody like me walks by? there's a lot of niche Funko Pops out there, and you can't stock all of them. Those things tend to multiply like rabbits, and eventually your entire store is filled up with Funko Pops you can't sell. I've seen many bookstores and game stores that have Funko Pops gathering dust because they bought a few of them and managed to sell maybe one or two. And then what do you do with the rest of them? I mean, honestly, the only brick and mortar stores that seem to do all right with them are bookstores like Books A Million, where if they're doing something that has a theme to it,
Yes.
you might get a couple of Funko Pops. Like, again, Wicked Part 2 has come out. So my local Books A Million, and probably yours as well, has the Gregory Maguire book out. And of course, there'll be your Funko Pop that I think for the most part is maybe more decoration than them actually trying to sell. Although I'm sure that they do sell a few of them. They had Glinda and they had Elphaba, but they also have like the deep cut Funko Pops. They had one for the Wise Women in Part 1. So,
nice.
That's the thing. Funko Pops, they'll do a deep cut, which is fun.
Do they have Glinda in the blue dress from Broadway?
Yeah, they certainly do. So Funko's a great idea, and it's fun to have those weird, quirky Funko Pops that scratches an itch not many people might have, but as a marketing strategy, it's very difficult. But the main issue that Funko Pop is having right now is, for some reason, and I don't know why this is, but for some reason, it seems like if you get stuff made overseas and then try to ship it into the United States, it becomes really difficult and expensive.
I wonder why.
I'm not sure why that is, but apparently it's going to be enough to kill this company. The day may come where we will see no more Funko Pops. And so for many of us who had hoped one day to become famous enough to become one, I guess hurry up now and do one of the make your own Funko Pops.
Yeah.
That might be your last shot at it. But let's talk a little bit of television. I did get a chance to see the Mighty Nine's first episode. They released it on their channel, and on Amazon, they released the first episode on YouTube to get people excited. The official release of the first 3 episodes is today, this Thursday, as we're recording. I've seen the first episode.
Okay, now remind me again, is that Amazon?
Yes.
Amazon Prime.
Exactly. That's where you can see the latest, and I'm thinking might be the last season of Vox Machina. I'm not sure if that's the case. What I really enjoyed about the first episode of Mighty Nine is you can definitely tell it comes from the same place, but it's a little different because it is more grimdark. The Mighty Nine is definitely a darker story, and they really leaned into it. I don't want to go into a whole lot of spoilers.
Now, is this a whole new campaign, new characters,
absolutely.
just same actors?
One of the characters, played by Ashley Johnson, in Vox Machina, she voiced and played Pike and was a big part of the campaign. In the second campaign, her character, Yasha, a fallen Aasimar, trying to go on a path of redemption. What was interesting about her participation in the second campaign was, well, of course, she's a working voice actor and had a bunch of stuff she was having to do. She was on a set. And so she didn't get to play an awful lot during the campaign. Although she does make an appearance in the first episode, we've been told not to expect to see her around much. They'll talk about her more than actually seeing her. She's going to be that mysterious character in the background who becomes friends with the Mighty Nine and drifts in and out, but isn't going to be a huge part of the show. Some people were disappointed by that. They hoped that with the animated version, she could be in it more. But no, we're gonna
do fan service.
Yeah, we're
play
gonna
up the actual story.
We're gonna do the actual story to some degree. There are some tweaks that they're making to the characters, but one of the things definitely that you can tell from watching the first episode is you're going to get to see a lot of the stuff that happened behind the scenes, actions that were only described in the actual live play. They heard something happen, but now you get to actually see it.
All right.
So
okay.
The episodes are going to be longer. Instead of like 22 minutes, they're going to be like 40-some minutes. You get more time to get into the story, which I think is really going to work for the show. It's definitely grimdark. There are some places where it gets real messed up and creepy. I mean, not to the boys level of it, but there's some moments where you're like, okay, that's just messed up.
Play Daggerheart with us.
Oh, come on now. I'm not that messed up. I'm not that twisted ever. Oh, yeah, we'll see. I like how it's the same but different. There is some humor, especially when they introduce Jester. She is this ray of sunshine in this seriously overcast, gloomy campaign. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing her introduction and how a lot of that plays out. There's one moment in the first episode where it's like, okay, you're going to cry now. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely off to a good start, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do with that. I do need to get caught up on Vox Machina. I haven't seen all of the seasons yet, and of course, they're releasing a new season of it. So again, I need to get caught up, but we're going to work on that. But I did think that we could end this episode discussing a powerful woman with green skin who has a story that really had a lot of promise when it started out, but as it got to the end, didn't quite hit the mark.
Gamora?
Well, I thought about that, but that was a few years ago, and we've already talked about She-Hulk.
Yes.
So instead of that, let's talk about Wicked for
Good.
which I did get to see last night. It was a special early showing in a packed house.
Right.
So I guess the question is, what did I think about it?
What did you think about it?
Okay, so this is one of those movies that I have a feeling is going to be a real trap for critics.
Oh, no.
And I say this because critics are stuck in this mindset of what's good about a movie, what's bad about a movie, what didn't they do that they should have done, what did they not do that they should. And this is a movie that tends to defy a lot of that. Because as movies go, it isn't what I think critics look for in a film. Because critics, for the most part, really want a movie that stands by itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is a continuation.
If anybody were to ask, well, I didn't get to see the first one, but if I go see the second one without seeing the first one, is that going to be okay? Am I going to be able to get caught up? I'm going to tell you right now, don't even think about going to see the second movie if you haven't seen the first one.
Okay. All right.
And it isn't just a matter of the narrative of the second movie is definitely, they're under the impression you've seen the first one. So they're not going to do an awful lot of recap. And I'm glad of that, because if they had, it would have killed the momentum of the film. You have to hit the ground running. It's a good thing they didn't do the recap, but you don't get any. But the other part of it too is this. The second movie really does depend on the narrative momentum of the first movie. I would say that probably the best way to enjoy Wicked for Good is a few hours before you go see it.
Watch Wicked?
Go ahead and watch it. Not that you've forgotten everything, but recharging on that narrative momentum and having that fresh in your mind as you see the second movie, I think that's the best way to see it.
Okay.
The second movie will not stand on its own.
All right.
There's just stuff, if you've not seen the first movie, there are going to be times where you're watching the second one where you're like, okay, why do I care about this?
Yeah.
And if you've seen the first one, you have an idea about what's going on. Not that it's completely obscure. I feel like if you don't know anything about the first movie, you'll pick up what's going on, but to care about it, you have to know that first movie. The relationship between Elphaba and Glinda.
Right.
If you haven't seen the first movie, you're going to wonder why the two of them being at odds, why is a big deal?
Right.
Even if you had read some sort of a recap, I don't think that's enough. Because you have to have that emotional momentum. To fully grasp and understand what's going on. As a movie, Wicked 2, a.k.a. Ugly Cry, the motion picture, a.k.a. Wicked for Good, it really doesn't stand by itself as a film. That doesn't bother me so much. Now, as a critic, if you feel like every movie needs to stand on its own, you're going to have complaints about Wicked for Good. Because this movie absolutely does not stand on its own. But I do not see how you could make that movie stand on its own without ruining it. Any kind of a recap slows the pacing down to a degree that it would ruin the narrative flow. But I also don't see how a recap would give you the amount of emotional momentum that you need to really feel what's going on with these characters. And for you to fully understand why these moments would hit harder for somebody who has that experience with the first movie, why it hits them harder than it would hit you normally if you didn't know about it. And so there's no recap that's going to give you that. So there's no point in even doing that. The best recap to get you into Wicked for Good is Wicked. Part 1. That's the long and short of it. So that's my first piece of advice. If you haven't seen Wicked, there's so many ways to see Wicked. See it.
Yes.
Now, having seen Wicked for Good, how does it compare to the first movie? And we just got done talking about the Mighty Nein and Vox Machina. Vox Machina is light and airy and comedic, and the second one is a little more dark and depressing.
Same thing.
Same thing. There's a lot of humor in the first one. The second one, they're adults now. Time has passed. There is a time jump. There is comedy in it, but there's some dark,
tragic stuff.
Definitely tragic moments. For those of us who have seen the stage play, who have seen the musical and love it, all of us would pretty much admit the first act is really the best part of Wicked. The second act has its issues. And most of that has to do with how the narrative has to basically drag Dorothy along with it. In the first act, you're developing these characters, but you're not as beholden to the story of The Wizard of Oz as you are in the second act. And so that in itself is limiting. And yes, the big musical number that everybody knows is Defying Gravity. And the second number that everybody knows is Popular. And that's in the first act. Because of that, people know the second act, it's not the best, obviously the best part. Let me talk about some of the changes. I will definitely tell you that if you think you know everything that's happening in the second movie because you've seen the musical, there are some curves they throw you.
Ooh, okay.
There's a curve they threw in the first Wicked movie. There's a scene, and I won't go into a whole lot of detail about it. There's something they slip in as an Easter egg that those of us in the know recognize. They're hinting to the twist toward the end.
Okay.
John Chu just had to be laughing his ass off at all of us because that's not what it was.
Oh, okay.
And there was a moment where I saw something that kind of hinted off. I'm like, why does that look familiar? I'm like, oh, that son of a bitch. He threw a curve at all of us. That's awesome. I laughed at that because I knew what I thought and I knew what a lot of people thought about it. And they're like, oh, I see. It's like, well, you guys think you're smart about this, and you're like, oh, I caught that little Easter egg. You're hinting this certain thing happens in Act 2, and it's like,
that's not it at all.
That's not it at all, which is hilarious. I love that little bit. But there are moments, I will say, as far as the two new songs, I love them. There's a lot of music in the original musical. There are some reprises of music in the first act, and there's more of that added in the second act. There are different takes on some of the songs from Act 1 that they actually added to the movie that are not in the original soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Which I enjoyed all of them.
Yeah.
I will definitely say this, because they filmed both of the films back to back, the continuity, of course, is spot on.
Good.
There's always that worry that when you see a sequel, there's going to be some things that don't quite match up. Dune was a 2-part movie, but they tore down all the sets for Dune because they didn't think they were going to make the second one. And then they had to rebuild all of it. They filmed Wicked back to back. They filmed the whole thing together. But because of a lot of the stuff they added to the first part, they were able to do callbacks in the second movie. There's one particular callback that I was not expecting. Something that was introduced in Wicked Part 1 that wasn't in the original. They do a callback in Wicked for Good, and not only is it a callback, but it's a punch to the heart.
Oh.
It's like, not only did you add this, you're using it to hurt us. I see what you did here. If you love the cinematography and the costuming in the first one, you're definitely going to love it in the second. Going back to the new music, Glinda's new song, The Girl in the Bubble, I would just say, as far as the cinematography goes, man, it was brilliant.
Excellent.
I don't know if I would necessarily consider this a spoiler, but I do want to describe the scene. I'm not going to talk about what's going on around it. I'll just talk about how they shot it. It's definitely a song about Glinda coming to a realization of who she is in the world, how she's been used, and how she's a girl in a bubble in more ways than one. What's amazing about how this scene is filmed, and this is a callback in Wicked Part 1. She'll catch her reflection and go, oh, hello.
Yes.
Wow. There's those moments where she's just marveling at her reflection. In this entire song, the way it's filmed is you'll see her walking and singing. Then she'll look at herself in a mirror, and what you thought was the reflection is her. They do that several times.
Okay.
And so it's constantly what you think is the scene is just her reflection in a mirror. It's on brand, on theme for what the song was about, but it's also a brilliant piece of shooting. You're looking at her, but you're just looking at a mirror's reflection of her.
Yes.
And when that reflection walks away and you think that's the real her, no, it's just another reflection in another mirror. And again, it's like the most brilliant piece of cinematography that I've seen in a very, very long time. It was stunning just to be able to come up with the concept to do something like that, but then to be able to pull it off, I just thought was amazing.
That's brilliant.
I love that. I will also say some of the weaknesses in Act 2 in the musical, John M. Chu was very familiar with and was able to answer many of them. There's one thread that always disappointed me that got dropped. A lot of the weaknesses in Act 2 are the fact that on stage, you can only keep the audience for so long. Act 2s in a musical tend to be the shorter act, so they only had a certain amount of room. There was a lot of rushing to get through the entire story. The story itself was maybe a little bit bigger than the time they had to tell it. The second act tends to be a little bit darker, and there's a moment in the second act with some comedy that I've always felt was sort of a clunky note. It was humor in a place where I didn't think it was altogether appropriate. It felt forced because it's like, just so you know, this is the same musical that you were watching. It has the humor like the first act does, and I felt like it was, in a sense, forced. I mean, it didn't really take me out of the musical or make me not like it, but I always thought it was kind of a clunky note, and I always assumed that Wicked for Good would rewrite that scene and make it more appropriate, but they didn't. They kept it in, but the way they did it, they actually made it work. Again, John M. Chu, you clever son of a bitch. How did you do that? You took a scene that I thought you were going to have to cut because it just wasn't going to work, and you made it work. It's crazy. But again, this movie is going to be a very difficult movie, I think, for critics to get around, because there's just parts of this film that I feel like are going to trip critics up. I know I've seen some reviews where the critics kind of miss the point of certain things. I won't say the critic's name, but one of the things that he didn't like about the movie, although he said ultimately he liked the movie, but one of the things that he criticized about it was, he said, the only way I can describe it is the first parts of the film feel rehearsed. And I'm thinking, well, dude, because it's supposed to be. That's the point. It's Oz and it's Glinda, and they're all putting on these faces.
It's fake.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to feel that way. That's the point. That's the actual. A critic that I respect, I will say, and somebody that I think is pretty sharp. How did you not get that? Now, the thing is, I don't have a problem with somebody saying, well, I didn't like that. I didn't like how they did that. I didn't like the way that it made me feel. That's perfectly fine. But if a critic is going to say, this is what the director or the writer should have done, I think that's a different animal. You're not talking about your opinion of something or how something made you feel. This is about saying what somebody should or shouldn't have done. And I think 99 times out of 100, especially for Wicked for Good, all of those kinds of suggestions that I've heard critics make about the movie, I think if John Chu had listened to them and done it, it would have ruined the movie. The movie is better off for not having done those things. It doesn't need a recap. It doesn't need to make things feel less rehearsed or to make the film stand on its own more. Now, again, like I said, it's not a film that stands by itself. It is a tone change. It is a little bit more adult, but I can tell you, I loved it.
Of course you did.
And a lot of other people in the theater with me, they loved it.
Yes.
And there were moments where people applauded. And the two movies of Wicked, I'm just going to address the entire thing. When I heard they were going to make a movie, I was worried about changes to it. I was worried about who they were going to get to play the roles. And I didn't know if they were going to be able to do on film what they were able to do on stage. But I always felt, well, that doesn't matter. You'll still have the stage production. So even if they completely drop the ball, I'll always have the stage production. I can always go back and watch it live. And I will definitely, the next chance that I get, catch the stage production. But what shocked me is that now that I have come to the end of this journey and I have seen both movies, I like the movies better than the stage play.
Wow, that is high praise.
Yeah, specifically because they had more time to tell the story and it's not as crowded. Although some of the weaknesses in Act 2 do still appear in Wicked for Good, a lot of that stuff has been addressed. And you actually get time to breathe and you get to tell the story a little more clearly. I see why everyone's saying this is Ariana Grande's year to get the Oscar. Because, yeah, holy cow.
Okay.
Taken together as a work, which several theaters, including some in our area, have been doing, where they're showing Wicked and then showing Wicked for Good
Oh, really?
right
That's
after.
nice.
So for one ticket price, you can watch
A double feature.
you can watch the double feature. Wicked as one unit is amazing. I enjoyed it. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as the stage play. Getting to see it live, I mean, definitely I'm going to watch it live again because it is a different experience. But what they were able to do with those two films, this one unit, this one story, for me has been amazing. And I can't wait to see it again. I hope I get a chance, like I did with Wicked, to see it in a theater with you. If for no other reason than to see your reaction. One of us will have to bring the tissues, although I will tell you right now,
Couple of boxes.
I was the paragon of masculinity and I didn't cry once. And you can't prove otherwise.
Oh.
And you can't prove otherwise.
We'll
damn
ask
it.
your neighbors.
Well, good luck in finding them. Did I like it? Sure did. Did I like what they did with the stuff that was the same as the stage play? Yes. Did I like the stuff that they did that was different, that they added to it? Sure did. Am I going to watch it again? Absolutely. Am I going to get to watch it with you? And are you going to catch me crying? Well, I guess we'll see.
We shall see.
And with that said, we come to the end of episode 257. Thank you for listening and tune in next time for the latest in geek news and views with the Geek Watch podcast. From Mandy Petry, this is Brian Hatcher, reminding all the Geek Watchers out there, we're all geeky about something. Be proud of yours. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Geek Watch podcast. If you enjoyed this program, don't forget to like and subscribe on your preferred platform and share this podcast on your social media. For links to all the ways you can listen to the Geek Watch podcast, as well as leave comments and suggestions, visit our website at geekwatch.net. The Geek Watch podcast is a Hanging J production.